Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Dark Souls PvP. I am back with a new bow build. Now, this build I'm calling the Hotshot. Not because it's complicated to use or requires any sort of hotshot tactics or moves, but, well, fire arrows, pyromancy, chaos composite bow, you know, you get it. So yeah, the Hotshot. This build is super easy to use and is without a doubt more obnoxious than my bow cleric. And the reason I'm saying that is because the nature of pyromancies. They, in general, have a very wide area of effect about them. Similar to Wrath of the Gods, how it's got a big area of effect, except most pyromancies are, well, you get more castings, there's more available, and in general, they're less frowned upon than using Wrath of the Gods. So, that led me to come up with this obnoxious build. And honestly, I kind of feel sorry for everyone who I fought with this. Because this build, and the fact that it has pyromancies, is really good at keeping people away. And when it's keeping people away, then that makes them easier to pick off with a bow. So, because of those two things combined into one build, it's extremely annoying to fight. This guy right here does a very good job of dodging everything I do from this point on, actually. I think I only hit him twice from this point on in the fight, and it lasts a pretty long while. He doesn't end up hitting me, but he rolls through a good amount of my attacks, so that was pretty impressive. And by the end, I kind of got tired of it, so I just sort of ended up deciding, okay, I'll trade hits with you. I'm done. I'm done. Just because it was getting too frustrating. But anyway, this build is really not hard to use by any means. It's just R1, 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 throw in an L1 whenever someone gets close or whenever you feel like it. Maybe chase someone down with pyromancy occasionally. If you have someone who's turtling real bad, it's got a Shodel, a Chaos Shodel as a backup. And it's really not that hard of a build to use at all. I mean, it's a bow build. Bow builds are really easy to use, and they can be extremely effective if used properly and have something to back them up. In this case, it's the pyromancies. Now, right there, I think what he was trying to do is do a jumping attack and have it clip through that pillar and actually hit me through the pillar. And if that's what he was trying to do, then that is really that's impressive. That is something I never would have thought to do in a fight. Because I know it goes through walls when you do jumping attacks, but I never would have thought to actually, go through a pillar with a jumping attack. It was also a pretty good use of the Lucerne, too, so that was pretty good. So, yeah. Right here, got this guy. I'm chasing him down with the pyromancy, or I was chasing him down with the pyromancy. I am doing it again right now. And he's got a phantom summoned in, and this phantom, he's got me on edge a little bit. I mean, he keeps following me behind me from a little ways. So, no big deal, he's staying back. The host goes to heal. And right there, I don't remember what I was trying to do. I think I was going to go for the barehanded parry, but it didn't end up working out. So, right here, I'm tired of this guy. He healed. I'm not going to let him get away from me again. I keep on him and get him with the Shodel. And then there's the phantom trying to get me with the backstab after the kill. Typical. Just typical. So, yeah. I've been going through a lot of different areas recently. As you saw, I was in the Demon's Ruins, which isn't really that great for PvP, but I needed to meet up with a friend there, and I ended up running into the other guy, who I believe he said he was a subscriber, so that's pretty cool. Then back in Darkroot, getting some duels in with a few friends. And later on, I actually do go back on what I said. I went to the burg, but I was doing it to meet up with some friends, and then I met up with some randoms, and then one thing led to another, and blah, blah, blah. I went back to the burg. But it's different when you're on a bow build, or when I'm on a bow build at least, because when I'm on a bow build, it doesn't feel like it's serious PvP. Like, this is just R1, R1, R1. It's not like I'm that into it. I just sit back and press a button. I mean, it's obnoxious that other people try so hard to beat me, or it's obnoxious for them that they're trying so hard to beat me and all I'm doing is pressing R1. It's like an R1 spammer. This build is meant for an R1 spammer that wants to be far away. Plain and simple. I mean, I'm not that much of an R1 spammer, like I'm really not an R1 spammer at all, except when I'm on a bow build. But that's just the nature of it. I mean, I can't help that. So, yeah. And using the pyromancies, I actually use them quite a bit to keep distance, like that right there. I threw it between us, and the red of the area around the pyromancy, how the air glows red, it kind of distracts from the fact that I'm pulling the bow back, and you can't really see the red tip of the arrow I pulled back, because it's on fire too. So, I mean, that lets me get a few shots off occasionally and pick someone off without much resistance, because I can't see it happening as easily as I could. So, right here, we got one of my friends, set up a match, and I'm shooting him just because I can. I mean, no harm, no foul. What's a little bit of poison between friends, right? Well, I guess I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I kind of deserved this death for shooting him before he was ready. I mean, that phantom range on that great club is ridiculous. That wasn't even near me, and it still ended up getting me. But that's okay. I get him with a little headshot. You can see the little blood pouring out. Fun stuff. Now, this build has base stats to wield a shotel. It has like 75 vitality, something like that. It's got a massive amount of vitality. A total of 1750 health. It's insane. And it's only got like 30 some odd endurance. Either way, it's pretty much optimized to use a shotel and a bow. Nothing else. Because the pyromancy glove weighs nothing, just shotel, bow, armor. And I actually can switch out the bellowing dragon crest ring, which is what I'm wearing, for pretty much any other ring. I could put on a ring of favor and protection. And that would just be, I mean, there's really no point to that. I would have more health than I ever need. I could and have considered putting on the dark wood grain ring, but I don't want to be that annoying. I don't want to be that guy flipping around with a bow using the dark wood grain ring. I'm fine with just rolling. I'm fine with just rolling around. And annoying people like that. So, yeah. Right here, finally, I'm back in the burg, and I somewhat accidentally came into a fight club. And this guy's just like, what are you doing? And it lets me get an arrow and a shield. I was hoping that I'd be able to get him with it, but didn't really end up working out. So, he's trying to circle around me for a backstab, which is the right thing to do, but he should be running in for it, not just circling with his shield up. It's not the right thing to do. And right there, I kind of gave him a back knowing he'd lower his shield, and knowing that I'd be able to get around him in time to get the Great Combustion off. And those two right there were interesting, because the first one, when he was going for the R2, I was able to interrupt it in time. The second one, I was at about the same... I hit him at about the same time, and it didn't interrupt it, like, fully. I still took damage from it, even though it didn't go through the whole animation. So that's a little interesting detail right there. And we've got the host shooting me with a Dragon Slayer great bow, and I thought I had successfully dodged through it, but later on, I realized that he actually doesn't either have the strength or dexterity to wield the Dragon Slayer great bow properly and knock me over. I think it's if you don't have the dexterity level for it, that's when that happens. But, oh well. I ended up burning him down with Fire Surge and getting an arrow in my, well, chest and side and stuff. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, host? And there's me being stupid trying to use an Estus flask. And right here we can see we've got a bloodthirsty host. He was trying to get around me for a backstab as I was healing. Come on, dude. What's the point of that? You don't need to do that. You can actually fight me. Don't go for an easy win. What's the fun in that? But I am obnoxious. I can see why he would want to go for an easy win. I don't blame him. It's typical of the burg and of everywhere. If you've got a chance for an easy win, then most people are going to go for it. But, oh well. So he's just running back turtling, so I decide, okay, you tried to backstab me, I'll get you with the shotel. Just be done with you. And really, the only time I take out the shotel is if I really want someone to die and they're turtling. Because, I mean, otherwise I'm just going to have fun shooting them. I mean, that's just the way it is. Now, this guy, I showed him in another one of my videos, and we ended up getting a double kill. And he ended up messaging me after saying, Odin! And the way I understood it is that he meant that I sent him to Valhalla and blah blah blah, he met Odin, so on and so forth. Some people thought he meant that he was calling me that. I don't know. But that aside, every single time I fought him, we ended up both dying. So what I did right there, when I threw the fireball on the ground, I saw him lining up for that attack, so I went across from the fireball knowing that he would walk into the lava. So just a good little way to mess with people who are playing target locked if you are not and they're going for any sort of a wind-up attack that'll cause them to move forward. Just good little things to keep in mind that you can do. So right there, I shot him in the side with an arrow, figuring, it's not like it'll matter much. And boom, right there. He's going for the Wrath of the Gods. I got him with the fireball just in time. Good stuff. That guy's pretty good. He's good at keeping me on my toes. And I was saying that I always die when I fight him. Bloodthirsty Dark Wraith. You know, we could have got him. Me and the host could have ganked him, but no. We decided to be nice and keep fighting. And then he comes and kills me because he's a bloodthirsty Dark Wraith. It's typical. So, yeah. Now we have Shiva. Guy cosplaying Shiva, role-playing, whatever the word is. I don't care. And this guy does exactly what you're supposed to do when you're fighting a bow build. Well, he does it eventually. I think he does it right around now-ish. Well, not yet. Either way, he's dodging a lot, he's got his shield up, and right there, he just runs right through and gets that backstab. Exactly what you're supposed to do. And then he stays right on top of me, which is even better. He's dodging my pyromancies and coming in right there. Just ignoring my damage and just coming in and hitting me. Exactly what you're supposed to do. And right there my target lock messed up, so that kind of threw me off and the fight went a little bit even more downhill from there. Aside from the fact that I'm not good at fighting against a Murakumo, that just sort of threw me off pretty bad. And right there, got me with that hit, traded hits with me, ended up working out for him. That's just the way it works. Alright. So again, I got involved in a little fight club, and this time I actually do something that I've been practicing and haven't actually shown. I'm sure a few of you have heard that when you do a backstep, there are invincibility frames. And I guess a lot of people have been arguing this point for a while. And I know a few people have shown it on YouTube, that it does in fact work. Someone's done some testing on it and it shows it. Because it's known that it gives hyper armor, but some people didn't know it gives invincibility frames. I have known that for a while because I accidentally did it once. And I do it again in this fight here, and in the next fight that I have. So, in a couple of swings that this guy does, I end up going and using one of the invincibility frames of the backstep, which is, I guess, a pretty rare occurrence. People don't really see it very often, and people don't really backstep very often, so that's probably why. I think it's this next swing he does on me that I do it. Yep, that was it right there. Invincibility frames on a backstep. There it is, guys. There it is. So, yeah. And that's the end of him. Got him when he had his shield up. He did the little arm shaky thing, like, ah! And that was the end of that. So right here we've got the host of that fight club, that little fight club that was going on. And just showing a little of the benefits of the Chaos Fire Whip here. And then I think the next fight too, I get a massive amount of damage off on it. That one, it did, I think, a total of 800 some odd damage. In the next fight, it does even more than that. So it's really a good spell, pyromancy thing. Right there, I used the invincibility frames again. Chaos Fire Whip, it's really a great pyromancy, but it's really hard to hit with unless you bait them in. And by bait them in, I mean, well, exactly what I said. I mean, there's really no other meaning to that, is there? You just gotta get them close to you and just smack them with it as best you can smack someone with fire, I suppose. So yeah, that's the end of that host. More good stuff. Now, this build, like I've said before, has a good amount of weaknesses. It's really vulnerable to backstabs, really vulnerable to anything with a long reach, especially spears and rapiers and S-stocks. Balder Side Sword too, because the Balder Side Sword's R2 actually has a longer range than the pike. Just random little interesting fact, figured a few of you might appreciate. It's actually at a longer range than the pike, and there's a little bit of lag in this fight. Actually, I completely forgot that there was. But right here, I get him with a massive amount of damage from Chaos Fire Whip. 1,200 damage from Chaos Fire Whip. That's pretty impressive, and I'm only wearing the Bellowing Dragon Crest ring. Just imagine, that would have one-shot him if I was wearing Dusk Crown. That would have one-shot him. But that was a good fight. And I actually thought that my second arrow killed him because the damage didn't show up at first. So I was like, oh, cool, I won. That was really close. But then I was like, oh, no, I'm dead. What happened? So, it happens. It happens to the best of us. Not that I'm nearly the best of us, but you know what I mean. Figure of speech and all that fun stuff. So, after getting through with the burg, I decided to head over to Darkroot and host a little bit. And, you know, figured this is where I started with my bow builds. I might as well take it back, see if any of these people can do good against it. And so far, this guy is not doing good against it at all. He's just not doing good against it at all. And it's hard for people, especially when I pull out that Shodel and they're turtling. It's hard for people. They don't expect the Shodel, that's really what it is. They, after fighting me doing well over half of the damage with the bow, they don't expect a Shodel. So if you look up ahead, we've got that guy with the Artorias Great Shield yet again, and this time he actually invaded first and decided, okay, I'm going to wait so I can gank this guy, because it's that hard to fight someone who's using a bow and pyromancy. But I almost get them. If I had landed that first Great Combustion, I might have been able to kill the guy with Crystal Magic Weapon on his Ricard's Rapier. And if that Great Combustion actually had gone past the tree, it would have hit both of them, and that could have done a massive amount of damage too. But that didn't happen, so no big deal. They end up getting me and bowing like a typical ganker. Just typical. Gotta love those Forest Hunters. I mean, I do like Forest Hunters. There's nothing wrong with Forest Hunters. It's a great covenant, and it's personally one of my favorites. Especially when I'm in the mood for some gank hunting. It's such a great covenant. But you do have a lot of newer people who aren't as familiar with PvP. You have a lot of lower levels, and you have people who are pretty much willing to do anything to win. So it does make it a little bit hard sometimes. And this guy, he actually almost gets the better of me. I saw he was two-handing it though, and I know that the two-handing attack is that one where it comes vertically down instead of the jumping horizontal one. So I didn't really have any fear of staying in place when he was running at me, because I saw him coming at the side. So yeah, that's the end of that. And one thing I really love about when you kill someone with a fire arrow is how they wave their arms like when they're dying. I don't know, I love it. Just the little detail of it makes me laugh, and it's just something that I enjoy seeing. It's funny. So this guy is poking at me with his Ricard's Rapier, and he decided not to gank me this time. I actually sent him a message, and he said something about his, I don't know. He said something about it, and he was, I guess, basically apologizing. It was like, no big deal. Or I said it was like, no big deal, or whatever, I don't know. I don't remember it exactly. My memory isn't as good as the name implies, guys. Just keep that in mind. Okay? So he's backing off, and I'm just sort of shooting at him. And right there, got him, did the little arm wavy thing, and he's down. And this next fight is the perfect example of what I meant by a lot of newer players being in the Forest Hunter Covenant. This guy is a low level, and I kind of feel bad for killing him, but welcome to Dark Souls, dude. Welcome to Dark Souls. That's really all I can say. Just turns around and runs, and that's the end of that. I mean, I feel kind of bad for him, but oh well. Welcome to Dark Souls. So, we got this guy, and I think it's actually the same guy who was using the Crystal Magic Ricard's Rapier. Yeah, that's him. And this was actually a pretty cool fight. I like the way that it ended. So, I'm gonna go. I've got nothing else really to say, and I'll just let you watch the end of the fight. Or the rest of the fight, rather. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, whatever, all that stuff. And I'll see you next time.